Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I thought it would be fun to look at the yearly TBR that I made in the beginning of the year. I think I call it top of my TBR, books I want to read in 2022, and just see if I actually read them. As I mentioned in previous videos, I used to be a full-on booktube channel many years ago, and back then TBRs helped me a lot with prioritize reading and stuff, but then they just became an obstacle and put too much pressure on me, so I stopped. And I mean, eventually I stopped booktube as well. But what always remained, even without making book content over the years, is that I always in the beginning of the year go through the books that I own and see which books I would love to pick up throughout the year. Sometimes it went well, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes I just forgot which books I wanted to prioritize. But this year I made a video in the beginning of the year and I wanted to go through it and see which books I've actually read. On the very top of that TBR list was Braiding Sweetgrass. So yeah, Braiding Sweetgrass, one of my favorite books of the entire year. Loved it. The first book is the book All These Wonders, and this is a collection of stories by a project called The Moth. So yeah, All These Wonders I read and I really enjoyed the book. It was not life-changing, but if you enjoy real stories by real-life people that are sometimes very heartfelt and sometimes just funny, I recommend this book for sure. Oh my god, what's the English title? The German title is Das geheime Netzwerk der Natur, and in English it is The Secret Network of Nature. I'm gonna put the English cover over here. Okay, so The Secret Network of Nature by Peter Wohlleben. I did read. And I enjoyed it. I think it was very interesting. I just think they should have named it The Secret Network of Nature in the Forest, because I feel like the title and description of the book are misleading, because you just expect more than what it actually gives you, which will maybe leave some people disappointed. I kind of expected it though, because I know Peter Wohleben's work even outside of his books. And he's like a forest person. Like he has like a whole forest business. That sounds so wrong. It's like a business to educate people on forests and that kind of stuff. And so I kind of knew that it was gonna be focused on forests, but like other people might be disappointed, and I would have liked to see more as well, to be honest, like more connections outside of the forest. The next book I would really love to get to is Wild Seed by OCTAVIA E. BUTLER. I've never read a book by this author, but I really want to. I've heard absolutely phenomenal things and I really want to get into it. And this is basically my starting point. Yeah, Wild Seed by OCTAVIA E. BUTLER. I did not read this book. I was so intimidated by this book the entire year. However, I also say in the video that it is kind of like a representation to read more fantasy and sci-fi, which I did do. Like I read a lot more fantasy and sci-fi this year, and I'm very happy I did. I feel like I'm very much back in my jam with fantasy and sci-fi, so I'm very... It's kind of a success, but I didn't read that specific book. Speaking of sci-fi, I really want to read Cytonic by Brandon Sanderson. This is not Cytonic, this is Starsight. This is the second book in this young adult sci-fi book series. Weirdly enough, I always buy the copies in Lisbon Airport. I somehow always end up buying it there. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna be in Lisbon Airport soon. Basically, I did not pick it up in Lisbon Airport. I didn't find the copy that matched the ones that I had. But I did read the book. I got it as like an ebook deal and just read it like this. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it was the... I don't know where to rate it within the series. I think the first one was definitely my favorite. But I think the next one might be super interesting. So I'm very interested to see where the series is going. I've been enjoying it a lot. So the next book that is very high up on my list is Ace, and this is a non-fiction book about the asexual spectrum, and I think that is so important, and I've heard such phenomenal things about this book, and I really want to read it. Yes, I did read Ace. I actually just finished it a couple of days ago and I really enjoyed it. It was not as groundbreaking as I was hoping for, but I really enjoyed it. I think it was a bit all over the place though. But I think it's an awesome introduction to aceness and all of the related topics. So I think it provokes a lot of discussions and for you to rethink the way you exist in this world and you interact with the world. And because I do identify not as ace but under the umbrella, I don't want to go into detail about that, but I do relate to a lot of the things that were said, and it was just super interesting, and I highly recommend it to everyone, especially if you do not consider yourself ace. I think it's super interesting.
The next book is also from the non-fiction genre, and it is All We Can Save. This is a collection of essays, art, stories from female leaders in the fight against the climate crisis. And
yeah, I read that one for Climathon, just like I anticipated, and I did not love it. I do see the appeal of the book, I see the value of the book, I think it's super important, I think it's... Can the dog please be quiet? Thank you. I think it's one of the... I think it is a super important book for many reasons, and I think it's awesome in its concept. I just personally have some issues with it, but that's mostly on me actually. If you want to have a full-length discussion about this book, I will leave my Climathon vlog where I ramble on about it forever. I'll leave the link down below.
Yet another non-fiction book, but a very different topic, is Body Positive Power by Megan Jane Crabb. I have this book for a while, and I even brought it with me with the intention to read it.
So yeah, Body Positive Power. I did read this book, and I that's not a word. I fully enjoyed it. It is not what you anticipate it to be. If you look at the cover and the description and stuff, you think it's gonna be like this life advice thing of like, oh, you just need to love your body and your body is so beautiful. And yes, she's telling you that your body is beautiful, but what this book really is just a raging manifest against the diet industry and the patriarchy too, which is awesome, but it's much more angry than you would anticipate based on that beautiful pink cover and everything. So yeah, I think it was very valuable. I think it's an awesome book, and I highly recommend it to everybody, especially people who identify as women. I highly recommend it. It's really awesome, but don't go into it thinking you're gonna have like this beautiful, uplifting experience and that at the end of the book you're gonna love your body. What I can guarantee you though is that at the end of the book you're gonna be mad at the diet industry and the patriarchy. But loving your body takes more work than to just read a single book. Like even if it was that positive book, it would still take a lot more work because of the way society and the different industries work. There's a lot of unlearning and resisting that you need to do in order to love your body, especially as a woman. Or as a queer or trans person. It's so difficult. And I've been on this journey for many years now, but this book was definitely a milestone and definitely has strengthened me on this journey forward.
The next book on the list, okay, is An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth by Chris Hadfield. Okay, listen. If you have been on this channel since I made the German BookTube videos, or maybe even since...
I'm gonna cut this off. I did read The Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth, and I absolutely despised it. I DNF'd it before I was done. Like, I think like 80% through or something. No. This book was such a disappointment, and I'm so sad about it. I'm so upset that I hated this book as much as I did. Because I thought it would be a favorite, but it was just like a white man rambling on about his privilege, not being aware that it's a privilege. And someone who is this smart as Chris Hadfield, I just expect more from him.
The Gilded Wolves. This is a young adult fantasy trilogy, The Gilded Wolves being the first book.
Yeah, no, I didn't read neither the first book nor the rest of the trilogy. I still want to though, like I'm still very interested in it. I just didn't get around to it really.
And the final book on this list is Where Hope Comes from Nikita Gill. She is my favorite poet out there. I love her work.
Yeah, I read this book. I was a bit disappointed because I thought it was just, you know, another like quote-unquote normal poetry collection from Nikita Gill, which I love, but it's very much 2020 focused, and I thought that was a bit boring and repetitive, and I don't know, I'm not really interested to read anything about the pandemic, to be very honest. I feel like there are like two types of people who are obsessed with reading about it and people who just don't want to have anything to do with it, and I'm the latter. So I think it was the weakest book I've ever read from her, which is sad, but I will definitely pick up her other work anytime. Okay, this is it. I'm actually super proud. Only 2 books of the list I did not read, and one of them, again, was just like a representation for a genre, and I did read a lot more from that genre. So I feel like I'm very proud of myself. I didn't expect that. I thought, like, usually I do a lot worse with TBRs. So I think I'm gonna do a 2023 TBR. I would love to see that, and I'm super interested how it's gonna turn out next year. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.